I'm not a delusional person. I don't support Donald Trump just because I feel like he's my candidate. And so because he won the election, somehow I'm getting reflected glory from him. That's what people are like that are into sports teams. And I'm not blaming them. It's just that's not the world I live in. The fact is, I actually follow what Trump actually does and what he stands for and why the elites are so firmly against him. I saw David Gergen this morning on CNN, an advisor to 6 presidents, saying that this is the worst 100 days he's ever seen of any president. Trump's been in 60-something days on 100. It's the best I've seen in the history books, going back to somebody like Andrew Jackson, for actually delivering true populism to the people. Do I need to list the $3 trillion in the stock market, the $300 billion plus in new jobs being announced, all the big factories from Ford to Chrysler to Dodge to Carrier to Hasbro to Mitsubishi to, I guess I'm starting to list it, aren't I? To the South Korean company, Samsung. There's hundreds more I can't list that have announced they're coming back, and $300 billion has already been invested. He's only been in 60-something days. We've got the best small business numbers since 1984. Since 1984, ladies and gentlemen, at the peak of the Reagan recovery. Took him 3 years to get there. 3.5 years. So this is an incredible time to be alive. And then you turn on CNN or MSNBC or read any newspaper, and it's the worst ever. He's totally defeated. He's totally discredited. He's a piece of garbage. It took Obama 3+ years to pass Obamacare. And then they were afraid to implement it because it wrecked the economy so bad and doubled and tripled prices. And Gruber said, thank God the public's so dumb. And Ezekiel Emanuel admitted it was meant to ruin American healthcare. These are real quotes. Anybody can search engine. Architect Ezekiel Emanuel says that they designed this to destroy American healthcare and bring in socialism. That's on Fox News, live on a panel, he said it. Gruber said in like 8 different videos, he was hired to lie to the public, and thank God the public's so stupid. And that they knew it would triple prices for a lot of people. So here's the bottom line. Donald Trump is not to blame for Obamacare. Obama is. But I was reading the headlines on CNN, Fox, other channels, and it was like, well, Obamacare's Trump's now. And oh my God, this big defeat. Obamacare is Trump's now. So now Obamacare is about to fully come into force this year with $5,000 fines, not just $1,200 fines, and all the regulations and the price fixing by the insurance companies that wrote it. And that's Donald Trump's fault. What type of delusional fruitcake world do so-called leftists live in, and conservative mainline Republicans, where they sit around having this victory dance that Trump's been discredited? Congress is supposed to pass these laws and repeal them. And Stephen Bannon understands that. They're trying to push things back to Congress. He said the power back to Congress, back to the people. That's what he said in his inaugural speech. That's what he said in his speech to Congress a few weeks ago. That's what Trump's doing. When it comes to executive power, that the presidency's been given unduly by Congress to pass the buck, he didn't take over TPP and use it as a tool to control the lobbyists in Congress. He turned loose of the power and just gave it back to the people, killed the entire PPP, said Obama had no right to negotiate this in secret. Congress was never even allowed to see it until it was already signed on to and done. It's dead. TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, written bipartisanly by multinational groups. Our political leaders going there in secret, but Congress not being told. Hillary helped write it. She bragged about that. And transferring our trade, our medicine, our culture, everything to multinational groups like the UN to decide what refugees can come in. That's how it still currently stands. That's what Trump's trying to stop. So see, I'm informed. I was in a restaurant last night with Dr. Nick Begich having dinner, and with Rob Dew, his wife, and my wife, and I was there, and I saw this couple come in, sit down beside us, look at us, and then make a big huff and puff about it, staring at me for about 10 minutes, and then get up and leave, as if that means anything to me. the fake brainwashed liberals who watch stuff like Bill Maher and think they're real intellectual, or stuff like Saturday Night Live. You know, Bill Maher this morning, I saw a clip of it. He's like, ha ha ha, the Republican Freedom Caucus, that's the, you know, the Tea Party, they're psychopaths. They want everybody to die and not have health care. And so they were against Trump's plan. You mean like Venezuela, where they had basically no health care because it's free? It doesn't exist, Bill Maher, and you know that. And so, yes, the Freedom Caucus did push Trump, and I think they did a good job. I think Rand Paul did a good job. Trump simply let the Republican leadership come out with their legislation. It was better than Obamacare. It doesn't shred the entire country this year. It gets rid of the forced mandates and a lot of other things. It's still bad. And that's what Paul Ryan came up with. So that's Paul Ryan's fault. But this is the first time Trump has not been a complete purist on libertarian conservatism. But all he's promised to do is to repeal and replace Obamacare. And that's basically what this bill did. And I have big problems with it. And I've been saying for several weeks since we got a copy of it, I have big problems. But it took Obama years to pass Obamacare. And then over the next 5 years, they were always afraid to implement it because it would hurt them at the next election. And I was wondering how, once Obamacare went into full place, how they would pass the buck. And that's it. The headline at CNN, the headline at Fox News, the headline, because that's the big corporations, they want this, is Obamacare belongs to Trump now. That's right, it was Donald Trump 6 years ago that passed, or 5 years ago that passed Obamacare. No, he didn't. But see, they can now, through alchemy, transmute it and change it into it's his fault. The truth is, we've seen the last 60 plus days some of the most amazing executions of promises I've ever seen. And we've seen him sign innumerable executive orders where the IRS can't forcibly take money out of your account under old Obamacare. He's already done so many other countless things to cut back regulations that were only meant to damper industry and cheap electricity in this country, like coal. They had a federal move to claim any stream or waterway that the feds can grab multiple miles of land on each side of it. They've been land grabbing all over Texas, you name it, where there are rivers. Trump killed that. Trump has moved forward with executive actions to take out and stop funding ISIS and Al-Qaeda, as Obama and Hillary did. I mean, everybody knows the things Trump's done. It's been amazing. You can go to whitehouse.gov and read the first 50 days of accomplishments by the Trump administration, and it's like 10 pages of just line for line for line for line delivering and seeing America open for business again and the economy roaring. Trump, though, is somewhat of a liberal in that he does actually like services for people. He just doesn't like them being scams. And so he basically got told, take the middle road. Have it cover a bunch of uninsured people. It does increase prices on the middle class and the wealthy. It does have some insurance mandates. Once you actually get insurance, it'll cost you more if you haven't had it. The argument is that covers for people that haven't been paying. But it's the citizens that pay, and it's the communities that pay. And it's wrong for us to have to go and get insurance from these multinational insurance companies who are the globalists, who are owned by the big banks, and who are the enemies. So it's the first time Trump's done something that I don't think was the best move. But again, better than what Obamacare was. And he was told by Congress, we'll get the votes for this moderate bill from moderate Republicans and Democrats, Mr. President. If you go for it, you're never going to get the other bill you want because we don't have the votes. But then he didn't get either. And it's because there's factions. There's the ultra-left, the mainline establishment, blue blood, rhino Republicans, and the neocons. They're just as bad as the Democrats. And then you've got the Tea Party Republicans that have been so demonized because just like you've been demonized, they're real. They want prosperity. They know what makes the country successful. They know what creates wealth. They know that you did build your business. They know that they built their businesses. And so that's really who your allies are, not your enemies. And they understood what was happening and stood on what they were elected for and what you were elected on. So I'm not critical of the president for failing to get this through yesterday, in just day, 65 or whatever it was. I'm critical of him for actually trying to go make deals with people that don't want to really make deals. It's all about political power and passing the buck and never getting anything done to actually make the country successful. I'm always for gridlock if there's a bunch of globalism and socialism and crony capitalism coming in. That's what it's designed for, to protect us, the separation of powers. But you've got the trifecta. The legislative, the judicial, and the executive. You've got the fourth of state that's really the opposition party, globalist owned now. Our media has been captured by multinationals, and that's why we're in such a bad situation. And that's why the fourth of state, now controlled by globalists, the media, is trying to shut down the independent, truly diverse media that in many cases is larger than they are. And that's why they're in such a war to say you're illegitimate, I'm illegitimate, Matt Drudge is illegitimate, Breitbart's illegitimate, because we're the only real opposition there is. But notice even Matt Drudge put out a tweet saying the swamp drains you, meaning the president, for all his strength. And he's already gotten an incredible amount done. We now sit here after being screwed over for decades and expect everything to be fixed day one. The good news is this doesn't cripple the president unless we buy the propaganda that it did. Now we can go back and have a bigger debate about this and bring out other options and look at different things we can do to shut down Obamacare before it fully hits. Because Trump has said this over and over again since he got in, the first day he got elected, and then the first day he got into office, January 20th, he said, I could gain political points very, very easily by letting Obamacare go in, letting there be gridlock, not making a deal, and then when things get so bad this year, which they admit it already is, and sends the economy into the tank, the Democrats won't get elected again for another 50 years. We've already got the governors, we've got the majority of legislators, we've got the majority in the House and Senate, we have about to have the Supreme Court, we've got the executive. I could do that and put it on you because it's your fault, but I'm not going to do it because the American people don't deserve it. And they use the fact that he tried to actually get rid of Obamacare because it's designed to destroy the economy, as Ezekiel Emanuel said. Because he did the right thing now, they're using it and acting like it's weakness. It's not. Get behind the president, move forward, get more of his agenda done, realize the establishment is out to get him because he's doing things that dismantle their power structure that has hijacked this country, that has hijacked this republic, and is running it into the ground. Because the proof is in the pudding. The economy is roaring back, even as the IMF, World Bank, and Federal Reserve work against President Trump and say they're raising interest rates to block his recovery. They say that in financial papers, and it's not outrageous to you that they're trying to sabotage a recovery for all of us? That's how you get out of debt, folks, is cut taxes like he's doing, but also cut spending, but bring in more tax receipts because you cut the taxes. Kennedy did it, Reagan did it, it works, but you've got to keep spending the same or cut it. These are the economic facts we're breaking down. But I watch all these little fake celebrations on TV meant to manipulate the weak-minded who are conservative or liberal to believe that now Obamacare belongs to Trump. Just like the media told you for the last month that Trump was not spied on, even though they previously said they spied on him, and then now they've had the House Intelligence Committee chairman come out and say, of course, Trump was spied on. Well, of course he was spied on. But again, they run these hoaxes, these big lies, and try to make you not believe what you see right in front of you. And that's the only power MSM has, is to just put out lies, get us to debate those lies. And by the time we've proven them liars again, they've moved on to the next batch of lies. We'll have more breaking stories and analysis at Infowars.com. I'm Alex Jones. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thousands of years ago, there was a basic form of chivalry. Our ancestors would hear the drums of war, giving the warriors of the tribe a chance to organize and prepare a defense. 60 years ago, when foreign air forces were approaching filled with bombs, they had drums of their own, air raid sirens. But in the 21st century, there are silent weapons for quiet war. Pathogens added to the food and water, and to the lining of plastics that destroy our vitality, turn off our hormones, and accelerate our journey towards death. I personally counter this onslaught with Anthroplex. Anthroplex is designed with known organic concentrated herbs to create the basic foundation to normal metabolic activity inside the human body. Discover why Anthroplex is turning so many heads today. It's time for us to take our bodies back into our own hands, and it starts at InfoWarsLife.com with Anthroplex.